What's up, family? Listen, so today I want to talk to you about um, being successful at dating. I haven't I haven't talked a lot about dating. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I've talked. I don't know if I've ever talked about dating uh, on my channel or on my show. I'm gonna talk about it today. Uh, you know, before before I was single, I used to always hear how the dating pool had a lot of pee in it. Right? Uh, they wasn't lying, but I want to help you guys. Okay. Now I'm not going to obviously give you everything, but hopefully I'm going to give you some helpful things to help you um, do what it is you want to do. Now, uh, I almost named this video "You Can Have Whatever You Like" because that's true. So I'm gonna talk about that. You can have whatever you like. So in case I hadn't said, obviously this video is for my single people who are dating and trying to meet people. Okay. First of all, like I said, it's a jungle out there. What? Trying to think where that came from. Is that a movie? It's a jungle out there though, right? But I want to help you be wiser in the beginning. When I say the beginning, meaning like when you're dating, you're not married yet. So I want to help you be wiser in the beginning so that the level of your settling is low as possible. Oh, you you didn't think you was gonna have to settle. Everybody settles. So my goal is to help you be wise enough and equipped so that the level at which you have to settle is so low. Yeah. So let me give you an example. Everybody has to settle. So whatever, if you have a list, whatever's on your list, you're not gonna get everything. It's not possible because the person that you were hoping to meet, let's say you hadn't met anyone yet, the person you're hoping to meet, you made it up in your mind. Yeah. And so when you meet the person that you do meet, that fantasy doesn't go away. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll talk about all that later. So choosing a mate, don't ever forget this. I've said it before, but choosing a mate is the second most important decision you will ever make while you are on the earth. It is the second most important decision you will make while you are on the earth. And that is who to spend your life with. Because who you spend your life with, who you choose to spend your life with, is going to directly affect your experience on the planet, good or bad. Directly and heavily. It's going to heavily impact it. Sometimes more than God. So you got to be wise in who you choose. Okay. I want to help you choose wisely. Now, most people, most of you who've already chosen someone you're dating, y'all not married. Well, some folk who married too, a lot of folk who married. Most people choose out of pain. Now, I'm not judging you because I've done that a few times. Choosing someone out of pain. Now, we don't know we're doing that. You didn't know you was doing it because if you knew you were doing it, you wouldn't have done that. But a lot of times we choose people because we have convinced ourselves some kind of way that they are the answer to the pain that I've been feeling. They're the answer to the love voids that I have. They're the answer to get me to happily ever after and ultimate fulfillment. And so we won't talk about that because that's not true. The first thing I want to tell you is this. When you're going to choose a mate, I guess, you know what? I said dating, didn't I? But in my mind, I'm actually talking about choosing. Because when you're dating, though, you are choosing. Let's just go with it. It's going to land where it lands. So before you choose a mate, while you're dating, or when you're dating, before you choose a mate or whatever, you got to know who you are and what you like. Now, that's actually one and the same. But you got to know who you are. And when you know who you are, you'll know what you like. But you got to know that. Because if you don't, and I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Because that's connected to my little, what I said it was going to be in the beginning when I say you can have whatever you like. That's just a saying. But here, what I'm saying is you got to know who you are and what you need, not what you like. Okay, so let me take that like out. You need to know what you need in a partner. Because if you don't know what you need, Still getting ahead of myself. You gotta know who you are and what you need. Okay, so if you like a certain amount of attention, find somebody that is already showing that kind of attention to the people in their lives. If you need someone to resolve conflict a certain way, only invest in people who do that already. But you won't know that if you don't know you. So you got to know who you are. And I'm not talking about, it's like, a lot of people, because you're not a crackhead, because your life isn't in your mind topsy-turvy, you think you know who you are, but you don't. The overwhelming majority of the people on the planet don't. Particularly if you've done no work at all, like on childhood stuff. And I'm not finna sit and try to convince you that you do or don't, but I'm saying if you're single and you're trying to find somebody, you better know who you are before you get with them, because if you don't, they are going to define for you who you are, but that's not who God made you to be. So you're going to suffer unnecessarily. Yeah. So not only do you need to know who you are and what you need, you got to realize that when you're single. So I was thinking not long ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I am currently, all the pain that I've been through lately. Yeah, but I am currently at one of the best places in my life. And I'm not sharing this just to talk about me. Okay, I'm trying to help you with something. So I'm at a place where, can I say, yeah. So I make more money than I've ever made. Put it that way. I make more money than I've ever made. I'm more stable in all other areas than I've ever been. And I have nobody to answer to. And I have no children to raise. All my kids grown. Man, that video is bright. Oh, sorry. So if I'm going to choose a mate, not only do I need to know who I am, but I also need to know, I need to realize, you need to realize that you can have whatever you like. So that's the thing about being single and being married. So when you're single, when you're married, you got what you got. You already made the choice. You got to try to make this work some kind of way. They act a fool, you act a fool. We got to try to But when you're single, you're in the best position. And so the reason I talked about me, because I want you to make the connection. The reason I talked about me is because I'm trying to present you a picture with, like, when you are free, when you are, let's go with that. When you're free, if you're free but you don't know who you are, you're still not going to make the best decision. So you need to know who you are, because you won't have an idea of what you deserve. That's what I'm trying to get to. Jesus, that took a while to come out. You won't know what you deserve. You won't know what you deserve. And so if you don't know what you deserve, guess what you're going to settle for? Whatever feels good. Then you're going to hurt yourself. Yeah. You can have whatever you like, but you really need what you need. So because when you're single, you have the freedom to choose. Why am I saying that? Because I meet people in my office who are not married, and they act like this is the only person I got to choose. This is all I got. It's over 7 billion folk on the planet. How's that the only person? You don't have to go through that abuse. We get with people, and the relationship is not going well. It starts off well. All of them start well, but it's not going well. And then what we do, we're not married. What we do, instead of saying, you know what, this might be a sign, we go in harder trying to make it work. And I'm not talking about regular problems, regular relationship problems and conflict. I'm talking about toxicity and abuse. I'm talking about them talking to you crazy and you making excuses for it, and y'all not married. Right? So knowing who you are, knowing what you need, and then choosing that. Okay? Don't choose. This is an important point. Don't choose what you feel over what you need. Don't choose what you feel over what you need. Don't choose what fits best, not feels best. Okay, choose what fits best, not feels best. So, the reason I say that is this, and this is connected to not knowing who you are. So when you don't choose what is best, you're going to default to what feels best. Okay, follow me. What you're going to do is mistakenly believe that how you feel, they did it. Okay, and then what you're going to do, you're going to trick yourself into believing that a marriage with them is going to feel like this. Here's the problem. It's not them. It's you. They're not making you feel anything. You feel whatever you feel because of the thoughts and beliefs that you have about what they're doing. So, what you see, he opening your door, he's doing all these things, you have a belief about that, but you think it's him. And so you fall in love. He's doing all these things. And these are the things that make you feel good. And so now you've ignored what you need, because here's what you need. In year 5, here's what's going to happen. Life is going to happen, and you're going to need a brother to comfort you with his words and his arms and all that. But if he ain't got no words because he's emotionally unintelligent, you ignore that because it made you feel good. And I don't know if I hope that lands, right? I'm just trying to get you to see, don't choose based on how you feel. You better choose based on what you need, because how you feel is only for the beginning. I wish I had one witness. How you feel is just for the beginning. I'm not saying that in your relationship you can't feel good and won't feel good. You will. But the level of feel goodness that you have in the beginning, that's for a purpose. That ain't real. It's called euphoria. Mm-hmm. Now, let me say this. When you are dating, don't get mad at people if they don't choose you. Let's say y'all been on a few dates, or let's say y'all dating for a while, whatever the case. When you get to a place, or if they get to a place and they say, you know what, yeah, I don't think this is what I want, don't get mad. Why? Because if you know who you are and you like who you are, that's crucial. Then, so I'll use food. I'll use the food for example. So let's say you got Snickers, you got popcorn. Let's say you're popcorn with maple syrup. You like, I sometimes when I use this analogy, I say I'm a Snickers. If you don't like Snickers, like if you don't like, peanuts, then you probably won't like me. If you go to the store, now I know a Snicker is an inanimate object, but if you go to the store, it's still gonna land, it's still to work. If you go to the store and you want to get you say, I'm gonna get a Snickers, but then you see a different Snickers next to it. You say, oh no, I won't get out. And you get that one, the other Snickers is not gonna be mad. Well, it can't be mad. Okay, but you can. So my point is, take notes from the Snickers. Because if I choose the Snickers over popcorn, it does not mean that the Snickers is more valuable than the popcorn. Now, it is to me, but I'm just me. Not necessarily in the world. Somebody else like popcorn. Here's my point. It's not that deep, right? You might be ice cream covered filet with broccoli and mayonnaise. That's not the issue. The issue is you are not waiting until you meet someone who likes ice cream covered filet with broccoli and mayonnaise. You keep, because the person who likes Snickers likes you, and you're not a Snickers, and they keep saying, man, you ain't gonna become a Snickers. You're like, I mean, I don't know. That's not your mate. You're gonna hurt yourself. All right, so here's some things to consider when dating. Here's the dating stuff. Some things to consider when dating. Do they show you the attention you want? Do they show you the attention you want? Again, don't find people and then try to change them to be how you want them to be. Find people who are already showing up in life the way you want folk to show up in your life, and connect with them. Okay? Here's another one. Do they believe what you believe about spiritual things? Now, that's one that's important to me. It may not be important to you, but that's on my, like, do we believe the same thing? Do they have a growth mindset? That's important. I believe that should be universally important. Okay? Do they have a growth mindset? Meaning, are they committed to personal development? It's selfish to take your life and connect to somebody else and you not be committed to being the best you. Okay? Fellas, this one's for you fellas specifically. She might be fine, but does she know how to comfort you when you don't have words to express your hurt? Right? Does she like to argue and disagree a lot? That's a red flag. Is she truly a suitable helper for you? If you don't know you, you can't answer that question. All you can do is determine what feels good, and you are going to hurt yourself that way. Now, here's something specifically for Christian men, right? Is she already submitted to Christ as the final authority in her life? If not, we call that a red flag. For believers, that's a red flag. Ladies, is he emotionally mature? Now, most of you ladies are going to say, no, he's not emotionally mature, but then you're going to make excuses for him. If you're not married, it's not your work. If you're not married, it's not your work. If you are not married, it is not your work to grow a man. Stop. You're going to hurt yourself. It is not your work to grow a man. Why am I saying that? Because I see it too often. Okay. He needs to be emotionally mature. Okay. That means he needs to be able to express his emotions in a respectful way, as opposed to shutting down or lashing out in anger. Okay. And that's just a little bit of aspect of emotional maturity, but he needs to be able to be vulnerable with you. If nobody else, he needs to be vulnerable with you. And maybe not day one, right? He may need to work into it, but I'm just saying, you need to look for these signs. Not only is he emotionally mature, and this one is specifically for Christian women, okay? Is he already submitted to Christ? Because if he's not, where you want him to lead you to? Where y'all going? If you're a Christian, then I assume you believe the man is the head. If this brother is not submitted to Christ, where you think he gonna lead you to? Y'all not gonna like this one. If he's not already submitted to Christ, I am confident in saying God didn't send him. And if God didn't send him, do you understand there's only two persons that can send him? And if it ain't God, who you think sent it? Yeah. One of the biggest problems in marriage is the fantasy that people arrive to marriage with, right? The fantasy. That fantasy is rooted and fueled by dating. Let me tell you why, right? So when you're dating, you're doing all the things to make that person feel amazing. This then reinforces the fantasy. And we think that is how how a marriage with them would be like, right? That's, oh man, I feel I'm not gonna do that. I'll just leave it there. I want to give an example because the example that popped in my head, y'all would have fired me. But the purpose of dating, watch this, is gathering data. Yeah, you want to gather data. We be dating like the purpose of dating is to fall in love. It's not. The purpose of dating is not to fall in love. And look, I've been guilty of that too. Dating, I'm looking to get my emotions hijacked. No. That's what high schoolers do. We can't do that as adults. You're going to hurt yourself bad. Okay? Dating is about gathering data. While you're, and feelings are going to arise and all those things, right? But because you are in the process of making a life decision, as much as possible, you want to use your mind and not your emotions, because you need logic. How does this person solve problems? What do they do when life happens? You need to know that. Oh, you know how they party. But how are they when they're angry? How are they when they don't get their way? How do they treat people, watch this, that can't do anything for them? How do they do that part? You need to be collecting data, not just going on dates and having fun. Oh, that was fun. We went dancing. Oh, and we went scuba diving and we went blah, blah, blah. Y'all ain't gonna be doing that when y'all get married. Not likely. Some folk, maybe y'all still be going to Turks and Caicos or whatever, but not everybody. And I met him. He was always flying me out, and he was always buying me. He bought me a Louis, and he took me there. And then, when I met her, she was, I can't bang, bro. She was buying me gifts and she was doing all kind of stuff. And now I don't feel the same about him. I don't feel the same about her because they've changed. Newsflash. It's the last newsflash. You don't feel different because they changed. You feel different just the same reason why you feel when I said earlier, because of what you think. So let me say it this way. You feel different because you think different. You feel different because you think different. You think different about them. Now, you may say, well, they made me think that. I'm not on that, but I'm just saying. You feel different because you think different. How I get on that? I don't remember. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I'm gonna be doing some more dating stuff. I'm gonna be doing some stuff. I'm gonna tell y'all I'm gonna give y'all some of my experiences. And listen. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna stop dating. I'm gonna ask God to just mail order, like deliver it. Deliver me. Oh, yeah, I'm not. It's crazy out there. I hope this was helpful for you. Right? Y'all stay blessed. And I'll see y'all next time. We are still in February. Right? I did mention love in this video, didn't I? I hope I did. I did. Yeah, I said dating is not about falling in love. Bam, there you go. All right. Y'all take care. You're crazy, bro.